Title: When my brother owed $90K, my parents sold their house to save him. When I needed money for surgery, my dad laughed, "Better you than him." My wife didn't blink, she said, "He's always been the stronger brother anyway." Start: I still remember the sound of my father's laugh, sharp, almost boyish. It echoed in the hospital hallway when I told him I needed $50,000 for surgery. "Better you than him," he said, eyes on his phone, not on me. My wife's silence stung worse. She just crossed her legs, leaned back, and murmured, "He's always been the stronger brother anyway." That was the moment something inside me died quietly, the part that still hoped love meant anything. I didn't argue, I just nodded, like a man accepting a verdict. That night, I packed a bag. Before leaving, I went to our bedroom, our shared grave of pretenses, and saw her phone light up. Curiosity wasn't the reason I looked, instinct was. The message read, "Him, how's he holding up? Her, he'll die soon, then we're free." I didn't scroll up, I didn't need to. I knew the tone, the familiarity, the same softness she used to use with me. I stood there, the room pulsing with betrayal, and felt nothing. No rage, no heartbreak, just clarity. I left without closing the door. 4 months before that night, my brother had called me, voice trembling. "They're taking the house, man. I owe 90 grand, please." He was always the golden one, reckless, charming, magnetic, the kind of man who could burn down a church and get applause for it. I told him I didn't have the money. I had bills, a failing heart, a wife barely holding us together. He cried, my mother begged, my father called it family duty. 2 weeks later, the house I grew up in was gone, sold, paid in full to cover my brother's gambling debt. They moved into his condo. I got a, "We're proud of you for understanding." I understood perfectly, I just didn't say what. When I walked out that night, I didn't run, I watched. Every story has a rhythm, and revenge, true revenge, requires patience. I rented a small apartment across town, got a part-time job at a storage facility, spent my nights studying them. My wife, my brother, my family. They thought I'd crawl into a hospital bed and die quietly. Instead, I started collecting things, patterns, documents, passwords. My brother's business records, tax returns, debt history. My wife's online transactions, her secret account. The one she thought she hid with a clever name, Luna. It was in both their names. She'd been transferring small amounts every week, slow, steady, intentional. The account held $68,000 when I found it, almost the price of my surgery. I didn't touch it yet. I wanted it to sting when it vanished. Instead, I called an old acquaintance, Marcus, ex-investigator once fired for bending the rules, the kind of man who didn't need explanations. I told him I needed information, not for court, for closure. He got me everything. Photos, transactions, conversations. It wasn't just emotional betrayal, it was financial. They'd used my identity on fake loan applications, betting on my death to erase the trail. Clever, I'll give him that, but clever doesn't mean untouchable. The next step was delicate. I created a quiet paper trail shifting the narrative. A few anonymous tips to the right agencies, a few files left on an unsecured company drive, all pointing to one conclusion. My brother had been laundering money through his construction business. It wasn't hard, he was sloppy. A month later, I made one move that sealed it all. I emptied their Luna account, moved every cent into an offshore holding tied directly to his name. Then I sent an anonymous tip to the Financial Crimes Division. 2 weeks later, the headlines started whispering. Local contractor under the investigation for fraud. Then it grew louder. Family accused of embezzlement scheme. He called me once. I didn't answer. My wife texted, "Please, you don't understand." Oh, I understood perfectly. I watched from my apartment as their empire cracked. Their smiles faded. Their luck ran out. The day they froze his accounts, she disappeared from social media. He disappeared from everywhere else. I kept waiting, because every predator panics eventually. The call came on a gray Thursday morning. 63 missed calls, all from the same number. Then a notification. Breaking news. Body found in river. Local man identified. My brother's face stared back from the screen, pale and perfect. The golden boy, gone gray. They said he jumped. Pressure, debt, despair. My wife showed up at my door that night, mascara smudged, shaking. I didn't know I let her talk. Every word a blade dulling on my silence. When she finally broke down, I handed her a folded envelope. Inside, copies of the chats, the transfers, her confessions. She looked up at me, mouth trembling. How long? Long enough, I said. Her eyes darted to the window, the street, the shadows, looking for a way out. There wasn't one. I didn't threaten her, didn't raise my voice. I just said, "You should leave," before they start asking questions. She left that night with nothing but a suitcase and guilt. People like to believe revenge ends with violence. It doesn't. It ends with silence, with walking past your father at a funeral, watching him cry for the wrong son, with your mother whispering, "He was just lost," and you nodding because she'll never know how lost he really was. It ends when your body heals, your surgery paid for, by funds transferred anonymously from an unclaimed estate. When you wake up and realize justice doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, patient and cold. They saved him once, sold everything to protect the favorite. When I needed saving, they laughed. Now their house is gone, their legacy tainted, their perfect son a ghost on the news. And me? I'm alive, breathing, whole. Some debts, I've learned, don't need to be paid in money, just time and silence.